Belfontaine, and you're listening to the HomeBuyer's Hour on WCPT AM 820, where the facts matter. And if Patrick is missing today, please don't accuse me of it. All right, we shipped him off to Costa Rica, and he should be doing all of his homework, and I believe he's on his way back today. So we're not going to be with Patrick in the studio, and we definitely miss him. But we do have Joey with us, and one of my favorite real estate brokers. And yes, I'm giggling when I say that, because Cody, if you haven't figured it out, it's who's ever in the radio studio with me is my favorite
Thanks,
already.
Charlie.
You're welcome. So, Cody, if you don't mind, tell us about you, your company, and how do people get hold of you?
Yeah, Cody Shipp. I've been in the industry coming up on 7 years in Chicago. I work with Dreamtown Real Estate, Shipp Homes, and the Kepi Group. 312-450-0665. Text. If I don't answer, go to voicemail and actually leave a voicemail.
Say that phone number slower. One more time.
Yeah, 312-450-0665.
Outstanding. And we're going to be talking a lot about developing properties, construction loans, and then I'm going to do a little bit of ripping on flippers, I guess, because that's my beef is bad construction work. Remotely, we got Joey Matthews. He's definitely my favorite mortgage broker. Joey, if you don't mind, give us your contact information and tell us what's going on in the economy.
Okie dokie. So Joey Matthews, send him a less with 330-694. The VA Loan Nerd, you can find me at the VALoanNerd.com across all social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd. You can call or text me at 630-235-2405. And in the economy, we have Jay Powell talking after the Fed decides not to raise rates today, coming out at about 1:30 p.m. Central Time. Today is obviously Wednesday, January 31st. If you're listening on Saturday, then you already know all of this.
If you pay attention, right.
Yeah, if you pay attention, and if you're not paying attention, then I don't know what you're doing listening to us. But, anywho, so ADP jobs report came in super light today, which is a good thing for the rate market. It shows a softening of the jobs market, which is something that we have been in desperate need of. And we've seen some softening generally over the last couple of months since November. We saw, however, the last 3 weeks or so, we saw stronger jobs data than we would have liked. However, I keep saying however. I'm going to find another synonym here.
Yeah, we got to have more synonyms.
I love cinnamon. Oh, I love cinnamon. Cinnamon tigers. Yeah, we blah, blah, blah,
What does that mean to me, though, Joey? I mean, does that mean I should get off my butt and go buy a house because the rates are going up, or should I
Mr. Charlie, I am always a believer that the best time to buy is when you can. When you have the ability to buy, you need to be buying, because real estate is 90% of millionaires and billionaires, their biggest asset is real estate.
That's part of building wealth, right? Savings, investments, and land.
Absolutely. So Jay Powell's going to talk today. They're going to say that the Fed's not raising rates. Everyone's going to dig really deep into everything that he's saying and what he's not saying. But today, overall, so far, has been a good day. And I like good days.
Good. So he's still your favorite government employee?
I'm going to punch him in the face.
I hear that. My name is Charlie Belfontaine. I own Chicagoland Home Inspectors. We're just, I don't know what to say. Hell, we're the best. I'm going to leave it that simple, and definitely the favorite home inspection company of mine. Our phone number is 312-544-9180. Repeating, 312-544-9180. And if you want to talk to me personally, you just hit option 3 and that'll come right to me. Our website is The Home Inspectors, that's plural, ORS, and it's a .com. So thehomeinspectors.com, and you'll find everything about our business. And if you're a real estate broker that's looking to build relationships with a quality vendor, check us out. And I think we're going to actually talk a little bit about that with Corey today. And
Cody, Charlie.
I apologize. My one of my old best friends and business partner, his name was Corey, and I loved him to death. And that's one thing that I used to have a dog named Bruno, and I got a stepson named Ben. And I found this out psychologically. If there's two people that you love and they kind of begin with the same name, it's easy to confuse the names. So forgive me for calling you Corey.
It's okay.
It is Cody. I do
get it
know
all the
that.
time. I've honestly thought about changing my name to Corey for no reason other than making everybody else's life, including mine, easier. So, no, it's
Well,
fine.
I'm going to take you up on that, then. So I'll give the $8 for the name change fees or whatever the case is. It'll make my life easier, and it's all about me.
I support it.
I support it too. So let's start off. I'd like to hear between you and Joey a little bit here, and I want to talk about what sort of financing options. Let's say if somebody wants to do a buy rehab, or they actually just want to do a whole new construction loan.
Yeah.
You know, because that's kind of where you're going right now, right?
Yeah. The past 3 years, I've, I guess, specialized in this and being an advocate for construction, because a lot of people buy terrible houses with the intent on making them better, and either they have limited funds or they have no funds to do it, and they think they can just take out a loan for $750 on a $650,000 house. They get the extra 100. It's not, word to the wise, that's not how it works unless you work with Joey. He just gives you the $100,000. It's that easy.
He's talking about a different Joey, by the way, not Joey on the radio.
Yes. No, I'm not. But the past couple of years have been focused on construction, remodeling, new builds, still doing the day-to-day on sales for clients, but an emphasis on luxury building and remodeling.
But there's so many shows on HGTV where, and I'm glad you're giggling, all right? But seriously, there's so many shows on HGTV, and everybody always makes a profit every single time. You know, there's always some sort of drastic emergency that's going to cut into our contingency every single time that comes in there. But, man, I really wish they would tell that some people really get harmed by a lot of this stuff. So, Joey, what sort of products exist? Let's say it's a rehab, or let's say that it's just a new build.
Well, sir, there are a few products. You can do a Fannie Mae home-style renovation loan. You can do an FHA 203K loan. You can do a VA renovation loan. Or you can do a full-out construction loan, right? And really what it comes down to on the lending side is what the cost is going to be. If the cost is going to, like on the VA side, obviously that's my wheelhouse. If cost is going to be over $50,000, you're looking at a construction loan, right? I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on this until Cody has a chance to talk. Cody, not Corey, by the way, has a chance to talk a little bit more about his end. But at the end of the day, it's my opinion that usually once people realize how much they want to do or the scope of the work of what they want to do, that they end up in the construction loan realm anyway. So, yeah.
And then there is an old joke, and I do want to know the differences between those four that you said. So, but, you know, I don't know. There's like an old joke for traveling and going on vacation. You bring twice as much money and half as many clothes, you know, when you travel. And I find that so true, because you could always wash whatever and you're going to buy stuff, but you always end up spending a lot of money when you're out of town or country, whatever. I think that's the same when it comes to, you know, building houses or rehabbing houses. I see so many people underestimate the amount of time it's going to take to do this, along with the amount of money that it's going to take to do this sort of stuff. But anyway, Joey, please tell me, what is the difference between those four?
So FHA, you have a limited FHA 203K, which is up to $35,000. You have a full FHA 203K, which allows you significantly more funds. But when you run the numbers, usually it's going to make sense to go construction on that. You're working with a FHA consultant, which Charlie used to be.
Yeah, I didn't renew.
Yeah. And honestly, with FHA 203K, I actually think that you're a fantastic resource, just because you've known in the past like what the FHA requires, what they'll allow, what they won't.
Yeah. And I'm more than happy to coach on stuff like that. And then I'm still trying to get those videos that you and I put together with the minimum property requirements, and I do have those posted up there as well. But I sorry, I interrupted you. Forgive me.
You're good. No, again, and on the VA side, you're able to do up to $50,000.
That's a good amount of money.
Yeah, but it has to be non-luxury improvements, right? So you're not going to be getting the marble countertops shipped in from frickin' Italy, right? You're going to get the house up to par for where you need it to be for the VA to say, yes, this meets our MP, our minimum property requirements. We will go ahead and guarantee this loan. On the Fannie Mae home style renovation, I don't have those numbers in front of me, and I am not going to give out bad information on it. I just know that it is Fannie Mae created it because they saw what was happening with FHA 203K, and that was their way to get into the market. So it's very similar. You do not need to work with a HUD certified consultant. Yeah. And then, construction loans. So, man. So there's a couple different types. I do one-time close construction loans where what happens is we work with the GC. We have the property. You can buy the property at the same time that you close on your construction loan. You have no draw or multiple draw options. Full draw or multiple draw options. You have the ability to pay no interest until construction is complete. Or no payments until construction is complete, or you can defer that interest until construction is complete and then start making your full payments.
That sounds like a cool deal.
You're done. Yeah, but you are deferring interest. At the end of the day, the interest is still accruing. So you got to keep that in mind. So you have to make sure that you have room in your value and your loan amount to make that happen, right? So there's always caveats to everything. Nothing in this world is free. What I do like about the one-time construction loan is that we lock the rate before we close on this loan, right? So you're not floating into the market for the next 9 months while construction's going on.
Interesting.
And then we just do a modification once construction's complete. We have our as-is appraisal. We know we're going to get our certificate of occupancy or our final inspections from the city of Chicago, if you're in Chicago. And we just convert that to your fully amortizing 30-year, 15-year, whatever mortgage, right?
What if there's delays, Joey? So, like, say, for example, and Charlie alluded to it earlier, but nothing ever goes as planned, right? You say you plan 9 months for your build out and say it takes 12 to 15 because you have a deep freeze and you can't break into the ground. What do you do in that situation? Or does it change on your side at all?
So the construction loans, anything that is a non-jumbo construction loan, we give 12 months, right? We assume that maybe it'll take 9 months. If it takes longer than 12 months and it's non-jumbo, so if it's a loan under 766,550 in this area for 2024, then you would have to request an extension. And honestly, I've never had a problem with extension. There's usually an extension fee, $500, $600, whatever amount of dollars it's going to be, right? To do the extension, to execute the extension of the construction period, right? On the jumbo side, we start at a minimum of 18 months because we know it's going to be a more detailed project. We know there's a lot more labor going into it, so we anticipate it being a longer turn time.
Can I add on to that a little bit too? There's other costs. If you go over 12 months, usually when you get a permit, they're going to give you a 12-month time frame. Yeah. And if you go, share.
Dealt with it. No, I'd rather hear it from you because you're more seasoned.
If you go through, if it takes you more than 12 months to do this, you basically have to buy another permit, but they only charge you a prorated per month fee. So it's going to be every month that you go over 12, you're going to be paying the same amount for these permits, and all of them, for every month that you go over. And I think our permits were something, and I'm guessing here because I really don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure our permits were somewhere around $15,000. So we were paying, in fact, there were 12 because I know we were paying $1,000 a month when we went longer than 12 months. Sure. So sorry to interrupt you, Joey.
You're never interrupting me. Never. This is just additional information. It's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
But no, that's not a big deal. On the two-time construction loan, that is one that has a balloon payment at the end of it, and you're essentially refinancing. You still close it out technically as a purchase because you're purchasing the building from the builder for title purposes because you're already on title for that property, that land. It's a refinance, so it's two closings. There's two sets of closing costs technically, but it's a lot cheaper for the second set of closing costs.
Okay.
On those, I don't even offer them anymore. I stopped doing two-time close. I only do one-time close. But you do start paying your construction loan back right away, and it's based off of the drawn principal. So if you have a construction loan for $500,000 and your first draw is $100,000 and your rate on it is at a 6.5, you are paying a 6.5 on $100,000 interest only without escrow. Okay. As time goes on and you take out more draws, you're paying now you've drawn another $100,000. Now you're repaying the interest on $200,000 at 6.5% interest. And then again, once construction is complete, at that time, you complete your what's called an end loan, where you refinance your construction loan into your 30-year mortgage. But again, with that one, you're floating the market for a significantly longer time.
Nice. Now, Cody, are you comfortable talking about the investments that you're doing up on the north side? Can you share some of that?
Yeah, of course. So I've got two parcels of land that we are speccing out right now. We're in the process of commissioning an architect for. At this point, we're at the preliminary stages. One of them is going to be a oversized home in Evanston, which has its own hurdles. Evanston is a wonderful place. The process has been a little difficult. The other is just a standard 25 by 125 in Chicago, tear down and or 95% rebuild on trying to think. An old frame house. Sorry.
Okay.
I've got a couple in my mind.
No, that's all right. They blend together. I've been there.
Yeah. So we've been in the process of acquiring land for the past 6 months. Am I allowed to name plug the company?
Sure.
Yeah. Mahogany
Please.
Builders is who I represent for this.
Give it another name. Give their contact information if you like them.
Located at 3823 North Southport, right down from Wrigley.
Nice.
But I've been their in-house realtor for 4 years now. We've been in the process of building out a new build division for about 3 years now. So it was a wild little learning curve trying to understand luxury remodeling and home building. So
Do you actually swing a hammer at those things, or?
Charlie, do I look at these hands?
Yeah. Oh, they're pretty.
Yeah, those are pretty.
Yeah,
They're
those
soft.
are softy.
No, I do not swing hammers. I go through finances. I'm not an accountant. Get a CPA. But yeah.
No, I did that when I was telling you I did concrete.
Yeah.
When I was younger and stuff like that, and it's amazing when you're young and strong, everything seems so easy. And then all of a sudden you get to be, that 39-year mark, and you stay at that 39-year mark for many years after.
Yeah.
And you think you could still swing a hammer, and you think you could still drop, flitch beams in the pockets for second floor stuff and haul it up there. That stuff hurts.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's a young man's game, and I'm definitely too old and too fat to be doing that stuff anymore. I kind of like the finger pointing business, That's bad, and that guy should fix it.
Put it over there. No, actually not over there, over there.
And that's Devin, our producer, and he could chime in anytime. He's going to have fun with the sound effects for a bit. So you don't do the construction. You're more of the money man, getting everything ready.
Yeah, putting the financiers together, going through the rehab costs with one of our project managers and the GM. And the GM's wife is actually our lead designer. She's awesome.
Nice.
I don't do design. You don't want my opinion on it, but she's awesome. She's been a really good resource. So, yeah.
No, that's phenomenal. I love to hear all that stuff. So, am I understanding right? You deal more not with banks, but more so with hard money.
Yeah, no, it depends. So, our typical clientele is somebody that wants to finance their own project or they want to do a jumbo product, meaning they buy the land for $500,000 and then put another 1.5 into it to get you the $2.5 million house.
You should play poker. I'm looking at your face and I'm hearing $500,000, $1.5 million. I'm like, that's a lot of money.
Well, Charlie, it's easier when it's not your money.
It's a lot easier. You're absolutely right. And you know what? That brings up something, Joey. When you do these loans, is this your money? Do you think of it that way, or are you going to have the same look that Cody has here, where it's not my money, so I don't care?
Well, it's not my money, but the bank certainly underwrites it like it is their own money, which it is.
It's coming out of your personal checking account. We know it, Joey.
Oh my gosh!
Notice I said checking, not savings.
Oh, I heard it. I heard it. Right. Not out of my brokerage account either. No, I mean, the bank is going to obviously want to make sure the numbers make sense. They're not just going to be like, oh, yeah, take whatever you want. No problem. We're not going to have to worry about the collateral later. So, yeah, it's not my money, but the bank underwrites it like it's their own, which kind of, sort of, maybe it is.
And we were talking earlier, Cody and I, about vendors and relationships. And I could see you would almost have to have a pretty strong relationships with whether it's general contractors or all your subs, because you got to kind of know what they're going to charge.
Yeah.
And, doing estimating for clients when I don't do the work, trying to quote somebody else's price. And it's so hard to get this across to my clients is that these can range like 300-400%, from prices. And that's where I kind of like to throw out the good, fast, and cheap. And you'll hear me repeat that over and over again. You only get two, all right? So if it's good and fast, it ain't going to be cheap. And if it's good and cheap, it ain't going to be fast. All right? And if it's cheap and fast, well, it ain't good.
Yeah.
All right? It's that simple.
Yeah.
But where are you guys at on the good, fast, cheap?
It's amazing quality, and it is not fast. So
Okay.
a lot of the carpenters and or tradespeople that we use, we've gone through a 23-year process. I'm 30 years old, so this is well before my time here. But
Another 9 years would be the same age as me.
Yeah. So yeah, I see you. But yeah, 23 years of going through and using vendors, and I've met these people. It's not just somebody that we're hiring off of Yellow Pages and whatnot. So we know the quality that we're going to get, which is awesome. If framing's off by 1/4 of an inch, they're going to go back and do the right thing.
That's it, there.
Yeah. So floors are always level, tiles always set down to the 1/8 of the inch. It's perfect. It's stuff that you would see in a magazine. It's not HGTV. It's not cheap, but it's awesome. And I say that in a non-joking manner. It's something that you would put up against the world's best craftsmen. So,
and that's I'm doing the abadava because I'm flabbergasted here, okay? But it's the whole thing is, and I'm not criticizing somebody in a poor, and I shouldn't say poor, in a less expensive category, but the expectations are pretty high.
Yeah.
And if you're spending that kind of money, that clientele, and of course I'm speaking prejudiciously, so please forgive me, but their expectations are relatively high.
Yeah.
And they don't want anything. And the part where you mentioned if the wall is 1/4 of an inch off, and I've seen a lot of people just shrug their shoulders. Yeah, it's 1/4 of an inch off. I don't mind mistakes.
Yeah.
All right. I don't judge another human by making mistakes. I judge them how they're going to handle the mistakes. Yeah. And when you tell me they'll come back and they'll fix it, I'm good.
Yeah, and I think inspectors, right, your job is to point out the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And hopefully it's more good than bad. Sometimes it's the case.
Sorry, I'll fail you.
Yeah.
Usually it's more bad than good, we point out. I apologize.
Yeah. So you mentioned it earlier about flipping, right? So we've been brought into a couple of projects to do flips. And, there's a time and a place for a flip if you're trying to keep the bones of the house or whatever it may be. That's awesome. But, a flip is a flip, and the goal of a flip is for somebody to make money. And yes, obviously you're getting the end product, which is hopefully a beautiful home, but you need to hire Charlie and his team to do an inspection on a flip.
No. Don't hire us for those. They're way too much work. They are so heartbreaking. And I am going to stay on this. This was the one prejudice that I am not going to leave from.
Okay.
All right, until I get extremely impressed by another flip.
Okay.
I've just seen too many people with no experience in construction doing this.
Yeah.
And I mean, we come in there and they're ready to give you their home that they renovated and made perfect. And I got multiple showers leaking. I mean, literally coming through the drywall.
Yeah.
I got missing insulation, poorly vented, condensation and mold growing in an attic. And it's almost like you're hiding stuff. I've seen air admittance valves before the drywall goes on. You could just see they're hiding this inside the wall, and it's an exterior wall. These things are going to fail, and there's no access, and you're not going to know it's there. I've run into plumbing vent issues and everything else, and don't get me wrong, we want to help, but the biggest thing that I push on those is I'm never afraid of what I could see, but I am afraid of what I can't see.
I've come to the thought, and maybe you have a differing opinion. My general thought is if I walk into a flip with a client, two things stick out. If the roof is new and if the windows are new, it usually means that it's probably a higher quality of flip. Not always the case. The roof may have been in disrepair, but
those are expensive items.
Those are two of the most expensive items outside of mechanicals that can come up. And if they've done, hopefully, the due diligence to do it properly, it means that you're hopefully getting a better product. Is that always the case? No. Is it foolproof? No. But it's generally my rule of thumb.
Yeah, and then, you could hire cheap contractors.
Yeah.
And that seems, what people go with. But then again, you're getting rid of the good or fast.
Yeah.
And everybody wants the fast and they want the cheap.
Yeah.
Guess what they're willing to sacrifice?
Yeah.
And Joey, with those construction loans and stuff like that you do, you and I are in the same mindset of protecting the clients. How do you protect the clients as the build is happening?
Oh, well, as the build is happening, we send anytime you're requesting a draw, we have to send somebody out to make sure that the work was completed that the draw request is for, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's not done, we're going to say you're not going to get your funds until this is done right, right? We're at the end of the day, like that's the most important thing is the work is done properly, because the builder's not going to get paid unless they're doing what they say they're going to do. So we send inspectors out to make sure that they're doing what they say they're doing.
And that was one of the reasons why I got out of the 203K. It's, when you do the consulting and the bidding and the estimating, my numbers were always higher than what the contractors came in. And they wanted it lower so that they could do the, what is it called? After market value? Is that right?
ARV, the after rehab
ARV.
value.
After rehab value. Thank you. So they want to make sure they have after rehab value that all the numbers are still going to work. But then all of a sudden, I think it's a normal thing with contractors. You bid a lower price, and then things are going to go wrong, and we're going to have to do special orders, and then I'm going to be able to make my profit.
Yeah, relying on change orders maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no money for change orders in these 203Ks. I mean, you'll have a contingency fund, but you're only talking 10, 15, 20%. It's not really that big.
Yeah.
Where it came in there. And then you see the work, and I'm like shaking my head. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
This isn't right. This person wants money. If they don't get money, they're going to walk. You're never going to find another person to do it at this price.
No.
And it's, I don't know, both of you coach me. What should I do?
I've had people that'll hire an outside unbiased party to act as like a rep for them, an owner's rep, and say, hey, you're not my GC, but I want you to look after this project as if you're me. And, sometimes it's a flat fee. Sometimes it's a percentage of the rehab cost. It's not common that I've ever seen one on an FHA project because typically FHA is going to have a limited pool of funds. It's usually on these self-sufficient projects where somebody's paying cash that they hire us to either do that or they hire an outside vendor to do it. That's the only thing I've ever heard of or seen. But I don't know, Joey, have you seen anything different?
Not necessarily. And again, like this is really just something that's becoming more popular right now because of, lack of supply.
Yeah.
So on the construction side, we don't really get to deal. We get change orders. The problem that I have with change orders, right, is if you're doing change orders during the process, and we already have an appraisal done, now we can have a value problem, right? I generally don't like
Never
to
thought
have.
of that.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I generally don't like to have an appraisal done until we're 90% complete. However, when it's a one-time close, this is my problem with the one-time close, right? We know, well, I guess on a two-time close too, because we need to know what the ARV is going to be, right? As completed value. But if you're doing change orders after the fact, I mean, now we got to get a new appraisal done because you're adding to the house, you're doing different things to the house, you're changing your plan, which affects your original construction loan. So there's just so much stuff that goes into it. On the 203K side, I haven't really run into much, honestly. I think I've only done a handful of 203K, so I cannot claim myself to be any sort of an expert in that area.
Yeah.
But being honest.
No, I appreciate that. And I know I did a couple hundred of them. And out of that, of all the contractors and everyone else that I met, there were two that I was impressed with.
Yeah.
Where I went in there and everything just went smooth. And Cody, I know you got something to say. We will let you do that. But Joey, can you let people know how to get hold of you if they have questions on any of your products?
Why, yes, sir. You can call or text me at 630-235-2405. You can find me at thevaloannerd.com. You can find me on all the social medias as at the VA Loan Nerd.
I love it. And Cody, if you don't mind, give us your contact info.
Yeah, you can find me on socials at Shipp Homes, SHIPPHOMES. Phone number is 312-450-0665.
And my name is Charlie Belfontaine with Chicagoland Home Inspectors. Our website is thehomeinspectors.com, and it's plural, ORS, and it's a .com. I can't believe I actually sounded like I said the word the. without the DA in there and the THE. It actually sounded good in my own ears. We do train home inspectors, and we're more than happy to share all of our training materials with any real estate broker out there that wants to learn more about building sciences. Our school site is HIUIL.com, and that stands for Home Inspection University of Illinois. So HIUIL.com. And Cody, I interrupted you. You were talking about the 203Ks, contingencies, change orders.
Yeah.
Please continue.
So stemming off, you brought up HGTV earlier, Charlie, and I want to talk about that for a quick second.
Yeah, sorry if I'm bashing on him a little bit.
No,
I mean, there's no WCPT, but
I will say I think HGTV has done something really cool and or detrimental to construction and home values and the design industry.
Okay.
I think the good is that they've brought positivity to remodeling, and they've brought these beautiful looks to like people like me and you that just want to have our house look a certain way, and you know what's in vogue now, right? The bad that they've done is the expectations that they have for their contractors, for the homeowners, and all this stuff is they say, oh, this is a $5,000 fix. It's like, no, it's not. And granted,
they tell you it's a $50 fix for crying out loud.
Yeah, so
I got a guy.
I've got a guy. But as of late, they've been in the media for really bad stuff. A lot of their flips and projects that they've done have not necessarily blown up in their face, but water or plumbing issues, electrical fires, stuff like that. Yeah.
I got involved in a couple of those.
Did you here?
Here in Chicago. So I forgot what neighborhood it was in. The people ended up buying the house.
Okay.
The sellers were part of one of the HGTV programs, and I'm not trying to bash on it. So they were on TV, everything else. You know the one I'm talking about.
I do
that
know
was
the
a
one
big
you're talking
lawsuit.
about. That was huge.
Yeah, and I ended up getting involved as an expert witness on those things, and it was just like I was again taken
That's when
back.
you know you've made it.
What?
That's when you know you've made it in the industry, Charlie. When you're they're like, "Hey, you're
that's
an
not
expert
enjoyable."
No, but
you know, it really isn't. But yeah, no. When somebody has, when my reputation is strong enough that they're going to believe me over another contractor, and these contractors were not licensed. Everything was, and that's one of the problems with the city of Chicago. And I love this great city, all right, but this whole non-permit, permit, rehab, cosmetic permit thing that they got where there's no inspections on it, it kills me.
Yeah.
It kills me. Yeah, we're just going to paint everything else.
The window permit. That's the one that you always see now.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we're just getting the windows replaced. It's like,
and then there's 5 additions going on all different directions, up, down, left, right.
Yeah.
And it's like nobody's there to check on any of the work, and most of the work isn't always that good.
Yeah.
But look at the money I saved.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm on a rant right now.
Opportunity cost. What do you give up? You give up quality for nobody to be in your business, I guess, right? But
and again, that's my other beef is that the flipper goes in there, they do their work, they make it pretty, they sell their house, slam the trunk, I'm gone.
Yeah.
They made their profit. We come in there for a lousy $500,000 or something like that to do our inspections, and then we're expected to be the warranty or guarantee. Or don't find too many things wrong with this house because I don't want the deal killed.
Yeah.
I had brokers tell me that, and literally poke their chest at me, or poke their fingers in my chest, telling me that I'm not allowed to do stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm not going to argue with you, but you're not going to influence me either.
One question I have for you, Charlie, is for new builds, right? So say outside of Joey's appraisal and the inspections for your draws, would you recommend doing a final inspection on a new build, whether it be single family home or condo? Because this comes up where somebody's like, I'm already spending all of this money. Do I really have to spend another $800 to $1,000 to have somebody check the alarms, the sprinklers, the plumbing, the vents, all that?
I recommend 2. One at pre-drywall, let us come there, and then the final inspection.
Okay.
And if we didn't find a long list, all right, then there wouldn't be a need for it.
Okay.
And if you're not going to do that, most builders will give a 1-year warranty on their product.
Yeah.
At least let somebody come through there and somebody qualify some, because not all home inspectors are the same. Not all real estate brokers, mortgage brokers are the same. That's one of the things I love about having the show is I get to pick the quality people that come on here. and get to speak their way. And that's why Joey and Patrick are here. And you know what? I didn't mention Patrick's name. So Patrick Loftus of Loftus Law, if you're going to hire an attorney, which I hope everybody does, hire one that focuses their attention on real estate law. Anybody can be, no, that's not true. You have to have a degree and everything else, and lawyers can pretty much legally do all types of law, but it's those nuances where experience comes into play, and that's where Patrick shines. I misspoke again. I lost my train of thought with you coming in there. Oh, the before and after. So at least, you want to get yourself somebody that's on their game, that has a good reputation. They're able to prove company value where it comes through it. Because that 11-month or 1-year warranty, most builders, I find, communicate fairly well. Yeah. And if we can prove or give them the evidence that everything is there, then they're going to want to go ahead and fix it. Now, that's not always the case. 2 weeks ago, we just had a person move into a spec home. Okay. This was when we had the real cold weather here in Chicago. Okay. They had frost growing on the inside of the drywall in the living spaces, all right? So both in the ceiling and on the walls, we had frost coming through to the inside. And the answer of the builder was, well, it was really cold outside, so it's okay. Yeah, Cody, thank you. Those of you that are listening on the radio, he's shaking your head. No, it isn't.
Yeah, eventually, those stud lines you're going to see probably the next month or so from all the shadowing. That's about it's going to happen. I mean, it's.
So we document everything. We show the proof of everything, and the builder just says, "Yeah, no, that's normal. That's okay. We don't have to do this." And we brought in another inspector, and he didn't find it. Well, of course, they went on a different day, and we may not have found it if we went on that day too. All right. But it did happen, and it's kind of like, me saying, well, the basement only leaks when it rains.
Still happening.
We don't want it to leak. Yeah. We don't want water coming in. And even the attorney called me up for the client because this deal was going to go south, all right, because nobody's communicating. And I'm like, this is an easy fix, all right? All we got to do is get some foam insulation in those walls. All right, so whether it's missing or there's gaps, whatever it is, we got a draft, we got bypasses, we got humidity and temperature changes. That's what's causing the condensation, and that's bringing the frost in there. So all we got to do is fill it up with some low expansive foam, and we're not talking about a huge difference in what it takes to fix the problem. We're talking under $1,000 to make everybody happy and make it go away. I don't understand it. And I actually had to say to the attorney that, why are you asking me how to litigate something like this or how to argue this? My job is to give you the evidence. I gave you the evidence. You got pictures, photos. We got witnesses because the real estate broker saw it, my client saw it, we saw it, and we documented everything. I don't know what more I could do for you. I can't force somebody else to do something, but I'm giving you a solution. I identified the problem. I gave you proof of it. You two chime in there, and I got to shut up and take some Valium or something over here because I'm all worked up over this thing.
Yeah, no, I've heard of stuff like that happening, right? But it's such a minute detail that any quality builder or anybody that has done a project or remodeled a home would have seen or noticed. I guess the fact that they are reluctant to fix it either means one of two things: they don't believe you unless they were on site, which. They should believe you if they were on site.
They were on site, and their own people saw it.
Okay. Then I guess it really is just lack of knowledge. I don't even know how it could even be that. It
lack
just
of
seems,
care.
Yeah. So, and $1,000 is $1,000. I'll give you $1,000. I'll go spray foam it right now for $1,000. It's just.
It won't be that much. I assure you that.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but it happens.
What do you do with stuff like that, Joey? Well, let's say that, you're doing a final thing, and I come in there and I say these things are bad. Well, you don't even get wind of that, do you? Did we lose Joey?
Sorry, no. I thought I was muted. So when I went to answer, I muted myself on accident.
Oh, cool.
Good times.
Yeah.
We're having a party. No, so I typically don't get wind of it until someone decides to tell me, and then we have to fix things, right? But usually that gets handled outside of my purview.
and I've had times where, and I'm glad that I have so many good relationships with building code inspectors, all right? They are the authority having jurisdiction. And a lot of people don't understand that, when you're a builder, you want to do good quality work. You want to make it easy when the building inspector comes to your property to do the inspection. You want them in and you want them out. And if there is something wrong, you want to assure them that you will take care of it. Because once you build that relationship of trust, then it goes a long, long way with leniency. But if they tell you to fix something, you better damn well fix it. We ended up having a house where an outlet was missing in a room. And, it's like, this is unusual. Yeah, that wall, it's too far apart. We know the codes. You're supposed to have an outlet there. And the response from that builder was, well, the building inspector said it was okay. All right. That's one of the ones I hate the most. All right. What they did was not catch it. That's all. They're human beings too. Right. And it turned out that the outlet was there.
It was buried behind the drywall.
The drywall guys covered it over. Absolutely. So all they had to do was cut it out. It was a harmless thing. But I had to make a phone call to my friend who was the code authority for my client in that jurisdiction. And he called me back, and the code inspector apologized to me. I'm like, don't do that. And his name was Corey. All right. He's one of my closest friends. And he apologized to me. I'm sorry we missed it. That was my bad. I'm like, dude, I love you. You don't have to say you're sorry to me. Yeah. He goes, well, I just want you to know he blew his relationship with us. Sure. He should have, when you pointed that out to him and he said it, he knows better. He should have just opened it up, and that's all it was. Yeah. And there were a couple of other issues as well. And it ended up where, sometimes there's personal problems where business partners are splitting up.
Yeah.
And that creates some difficulty to get things done. And that's what this was.
Yeah. Good for you for addressing that. I don't know that everybody would have done the upstanding thing in that situation and called them out on that.
There's more to it than just that. I don't drop a dime. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Back in high school when we walked into the bathrooms, we always had to yell out, "It's cool, it's cool," because you didn't want the narcs walking in there to catch you smoking in the bathroom, right?
Sure.
So we had to say that. I don't want to be that guy, but it was part of the Zoom calls that we do afterwards. I was talking with them, and I build a relationship with our clients. Yeah. All right, Cody, you know this. We're not in the home selling business. We are in the relationship building business. Yeah. And you build that all through trust. And I built that trust with my clients. And we had dialogues. And I gave them the ammunition and everything else to try and convince them to do things. But then all of a sudden, it comes back to where the builder doesn't want to do it. I'm like, well, it's your choice. And I asked my client this. I do have a friend. I'm not going to ask them to do anything immoral. But I want to make them aware of this situation, and they have the authority. He will defend you. Do you want me to do it? They said, yes. We're at a loss for anything else, and he did. So.
Yeah. Good for you. I understand your point. I appreciate that, but I'll stand true. You did the right thing.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
But I followed my client's guide.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything without their permission.
Yeah.
And actually, by law, I can't. All right? Yeah, you may not know this, but home inspectors can't share details with anybody else without our client's permission.
Did know that, yeah. I have to sign a consent form if I'm logging in on my client's behalf for an inspection usually. Yeah, so I get it.
Yeah, it comes in there. So let's go back more to the money stuff, because, man almighty, I'm all worked up here right now. I got so much adrenaline flowing through me. Stuff like that just upsets me. I do not like it when someone takes advantage of other people. Yeah. But I want to get more to, how does all this stuff work? So how does it work for you, for example, Cody? You're building this new house. When do you start getting paid? When do you want money from your clients?
Yeah, so I'll actually defer the question to Joey, right? So the company that I represent, Mahogany Builders, 3823 North Southport.
I love it.
Loved it. We typically only take on bigger projects when we're going to be doing draws. The reason for it, typically get a couple draws a project. If it's something smaller where we're doing an addition or excavating a basement for livable space, whatever it might be, we like cash on those, but would definitely love dealing with people like Joey that are going to help us get the financing in order. So how do we get paid? When you write the check, I guess. So On the draw system, we pay. It's a relationship with our contractors or subs.
Is there money up front?
Usually, we'll have to do a deposit with them.
And what sort of percentage is that?
It depends on the vendor. So cabinet vendors, it's usually 50%.
Okay, I hear that with flooring guys too.
Yeah, flooring is really weird. The cost has varied so much since COVID. White oak right now, it's hot. It's hot in the streets. People love it. Flooring, yes. Cabinets, yes. Tile, obviously, we just need to place the order, but it depends on each vendor actually. So framers usually want anywhere between 10 and 25% up front, just because they're going to be boots on the ground. Roofers, they usually just want it all at the time. So.
Yeah, but you still have to. I don't know. I'm a believer. That's one thing I liked about the 203Ks, that holdback, that 10%. Everybody's got to have some skin in the game.
Yeah, and I
think
you
got to have something to lose.
I think the big thing, right, is we've been doing this for 23 years. Most people don't do it for that long. They get to the point where they either get burned out. The industry's tough. Contractors are hard to find.
It's hard work.
Yeah, and I take pride in this. I pay all of my people very well. With that being said, they all get paid on time. There's, if I have to take money out of our bank account, or our GM has to siphon money from our own profits to pay them if there's a delay in the draw, I'd never want there to be any question about somebody getting paid. So,
and your expectations are high. You set them high. Joey, I know, sets them high.
Yeah.
All right. Patrick sets them high. I set them high. One of the things I like about Joey, and I'm sorry if I'm going to embarrass you, Joe, but
nothing embarrasses me.
He, unless things have changed, I'm going to go out and say you still have not had
a
denial for a mortgage ever, based on doing the due diligence ahead of time. In other words, when you give, what is it, pre-approval, or what's the other word?
Pre-guarantee, no big deal.
No big deal.
Pre-approval versus pre-qualifications.
Qualification is what I was looking for.
At the end of the day, and I know you guys agree with me, these are people's lives in our hands.
Yes.
It's a basic necessity for life.
Yes.
If you're not taking it as seriously as you should be, just get the hell out of my way. Like, it's ridiculous, this things that we have to see, and I hate it.
Joey, I will say this. Not everybody in the lending community feels that way.
No, there's a lot of lazy lenders.
Yeah.
He uses that term. There's a lot of lazy real estate brokers. There's a lot of lazy home inspectors, lazy attorneys. That's where reputation matters, and that's the one thing that I've been. And how do you build that reputation? We were kind of having a discussion like that earlier, Joey. How do I get the information that my reputation is solid, that I actually can prove that I do a good job for people? And I'm asking both of you this same question. How do you do that in 30 seconds to somebody who doesn't know you?
You go first, Joey. You go first.
Yeah, I'm blunt. Like, that's it's something that you either love or hate about me. But I'm blunt. I don't like to say I stroke myself, but I've never had a denial. I mean, if I pre-approve you, you're going to close. At the end of the day, is that what matters the most?
Yeah.
Are you going to shop me on rate to freaking Schmetterins poo nighted? And not close? I mean, what's the difference in an eighth on a rate if you don't close?
Yeah,
absolutely.
You're having a house is a big difference.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But it's also the emotional roller coaster that you're sending somebody through, and it's dramatic. It's catastrophic. If somebody thinks they're going to get a house, they go through all this stuff, they spend all this money, only to find out that somebody didn't cross a T or dot an I, and now the loan doesn't go through, and this deal gets killed. It's heartbreaking for the home buyer, but everybody else involved too. Am I
1,000%? No, because there's a seller on the line. I mean, at the end of the day, like Cody and I were 100% commission only. Like, I have no incentive to not close your loan, right? There's zero incentive behind that. The fact that people actually get denials boggles my mind. Like, you can't just throw poo-poo at a wall. It doesn't make sense.
I'm looking at Devin and see if poo-poo's a bad word. He's giving me the okay. It's all thumbs up. So how about you, Cody? Give me your 30-second why choose you.
Yeah, I've been in the industry for 8 years in total, 7 years, coming up on 7 years in Chicago. I think realtors as a whole over the next 2 to 3 years, while licensing changes and compensation changes.
The NAR lawsuit, too.
The NAR lawsuit is what I'm alluding to, which is, buyers may in the future have to compensate us. And, you know, what will I say? You know, is it long overdue? I don't know. But what I will say is the value that I'm bringing to you is probably not going to be the warm and fuzzies. Charlie and I were talking about this a little bit ago, but the way that I typically go through my showings is I'm going to point out everything that's wrong with the house. I'm not saying it in a disparaging manner, but what I'm trying to do is give you all of the bad so that when you sit down after I'm there, I know I'm a biased person because I'm getting paid out of this, but really what I'm doing is I'm trying to give you every reason not to buy the house. And I know that sounds pessimistic, but what I would rather you have all of the knowledge up front from a professional and say like, Cody, I appreciate this. You pointed this out. We'll get that taken care of later. We still want this.
I have hard arguments with real estate brokers that do just the opposite. This is the greatest house ever. This is, this was an electrician. You won't find anything wrong here. I can't believe how beautiful all this stuff is. You're building it up. It's got nowhere to go but down.
Yeah.
Don't do that to me. Then I come in there and we give them 70 items wrong with the house. Guess who the bad guy is? It's me. When you do that, you're setting those expectations. Yeah. And that is the key to success in real estate, is not only meet the expectations, but you got to exceed them.
Yeah.
All right. If you don't meet those expectations, and you got to, first of all, figure out what the client thinks those expectations are. All right. If you don't meet those expectations that exceed those expectations, you're a fail.
I think the biggest thing is like when I take on a buyer client or a listing, it's pretty much the same process, but expectations is the biggest word you'll probably take away from this conversation, which is I sit down with all my clients and say for an hour, sometimes 2 hours, and set, here's step 1, here's step 6. How do we get from here to you actually getting your keys? And the expectations are set. I find that anybody that sits down and takes that hour to 2 hours for coffee, lunch, whatever it is, to talk about, what actually all of this entails, because you're going to get hit in the face really, really hard.
Multiple times.
You're gonna have highs and lows, and you're gonna think, hey, we bought a house, and then 2 weeks later, you're gonna think like, I guess I'm still gonna rent for another 6 years. But having a set expectation on the checkpoints to get to homeownership is the biggest thing. And there's so many realtors that just fly by the seat of their pants. And if that's how you like to live life, kudos to you. It's not.
But that's why so many fail.
Yeah. And like you were saying, what percentage of inspectors don't make it past the first 2 years?
80%.
Yeah.
Same with real estate brokers.
Yeah. It happens.
All right. Joey, I know I've asked you this before, but my elderly brain doesn't necessarily remember everything. What is the lifespan of a loan originator?
If you make it past 2 years, then kudos to you. You may have the long haul in you. If you made it through 2020 and 2021, you're probably gone already.
Amazing. All right, Joey, we are running out of time. Can you give us contact information, please?
Yes, sir. So, Joey Matthews, you can call or text me at 630-235-2405. Find me at thevaloannerd.com. Find me across all social media as @thevaloannerd.
And I can't encourage you enough. Joey's been pumping out video after video after video. And these things are just educational like there's no tomorrow. And I know the ones that I'm like, yeah, I got to share those right away. Cody, please, your contact info.
Yeah. Shipp Homes on social media. And then phone, 312-450-0665.
And my name is Charlie Belfontaine. I want to give special thank you to Devin Tingle. There it is. He's our producer. Makes everything sound so good. Our phone number is 312-544-9180. Repeating, 312-544-9180. Our website is thehomeinspectors.com. Special thank you again to WCPT for letting me air my grievances. This is Charlie, and